Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to ddon.life. Yeah, baby. ddon.life. 365 days of podcasting underway. That's right. And we're doing a new episode right now. ddon. A reading from the book 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. Chapter 1. Declare war on your enemies. The polarity strategy. Life is endless battle and conflict, and you cannot fight effectively unless you can identify your enemies. People are subtle and evasive, disguising their intentions, pretending to be on your side. You need clarity. Learn to smoke out your enemies, to spot them by the signs and patterns that reveal hostility. Then, once you have them in your sights, inwardly declare war. As the opposite poles of a magnet create motion, your enemies, your opposites, can fill you with purpose and direction, as people who stand in your way, who represent what you loathe, people to react against. They are a source of energy. Do not be naive. With some enemies, there can be no compromise, no middle ground. Now I will read another page out of a different book that I found in my box of books that I moved from my parents. I read this like 10 years ago, and I remember liking it when I read it, but I forgot about it completely. It's called The World of Shamanism by Roger Walsh, MD, PhD. And this, he's talking about living ethically. Regard your neighbor's gain as your gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. Tai Shang Kanyin Pin. Spiritual traditions regard ethical living as an essential foundation. However, their understanding of ethics is very different from conventional views and far more psychologically astute. Rare are those who understand virtue, sighed Confucius. Spiritual traditions view ethics not in terms of conventional morality, but rather as an essential discipline for training the mind. Contemplative introspection makes it painfully apparent that unethical behavior that aims at inflicting harm, both stems from and strengthens unhealthy destructive motives and emotions, such as greed, anger, and jealousy. In Western psychological terms, unethical behavior reinforces these destructive mental elements. In Asian terms, it stamps their karmic imprint on the mind, karma here being the psychological residue left by past behavior. Conversely, ethical behavior intended to enhance the well-being of all, heals the mind. It cultivates healthy qualities such as kindness, calm, and compassion, while inhibiting unhealthy destructive motives and emotions through a process psychologists call reciprocal inhibition. Once this is recognized, ethics change dramatically. It becomes not something imposed from without, but rather something sought from within. Not a sacrifice, but rather enlightened self-interest, a gift to both others and oneself. As the Buddha pointed out, whatever you do it to yourself. At first, ethical training involves a struggle to reverse old habits. However, with practice, it becomes increasingly effortless and spontaneous until whatever is thought to be necessary for sentient beings happens all the time of its own accord. Confucius described this stage as one in which, quote, I could follow the dictates of my own heart, for whatever I desired no longer overstepped the boundaries of right. End quote. The well-known Buddhist meditation teacher Jack Kornfield describes the maturation of ethical living as follows. At first, ethics are a practice. Then they become a necessity. And finally, they become a joy. There's 7 total central practices that they go over in this book. The next one is transforming your emotions, redirecting motivation, training attention, refining awareness, wisdom, and serving others, an altruistic life. So, yeah, I think maybe I'll go into those other 6 next time. I'm going to keep this book on my desk. I enjoyed revisiting the information. 2 readings from 2 different books, not quite having much in common, but I enjoyed them, and I think maybe, hopefully, you did too. This is Dan Wilson. Thanks for joining me tonight for this episode of ddon.life in the quest to do 365 days of podcasting without stopping every day to see where it goes and what happens. My goal is to just keep going, but 365 is the first rest stop. Good night, you guys.